Chapter 6, Falling for a Ghost. The fire crackled in the dimly lit living room, casting flickering shadows on the walls. Henry stood near the hearth, his back tense, his hands clenched into fists. He had just spoken the words that made my blood turn to ice. And I think I was betrayed. The weight of his confession lingered in the air, thick and suffocating. I took a cautious step closer. Henry, who do you remember fighting with? His eyes, dark with frustration, flickered toward me. I don't know. The memory, it's like a frayed rope. I can't hold on to it. I just know it wasn't a stranger. His gaze dropped to his hands. It was someone I trusted. A shiver ran down my spine. A million possibilities ran through my mind, each more terrifying than the last. Someone had been there that night. Someone had fought with him. Someone had wanted him gone. I swallowed hard. Do you think it had something to do with why you disappeared? Henry exhaled sharply. I don't think I just disappeared, Alice. I think someone wanted me to. A heavy silence fell between us. Outside, the storm continued to howl, rain tapping against the windows like impatient fingers. I wanted to tell him we would figure this out together, that everything would be okay. But I couldn't lie, because the truth was I wasn't sure anything would ever be okay again. The next morning, I woke up to find Henry already gone from the house. Panic surged through me until I spotted him standing outside, barefoot in the damp grass, staring out at the sea. I wrapped a sweater around myself and stepped out, the cold wind biting at my skin. Couldn't sleep? I asked softly. He didn't turn around. I keep dreaming about it. I hesitated. About the night you disappeared? A muscle in his jaw twitched. Yes. He finally turned to me, his expression unreadable. But there's something else. I braced myself. What? His gaze held mine, intense and searching. You. My breath caught in my throat. What about me? He took a step closer, closing the distance between us. In my dreams, I see you, Alice. I don't know if it's a memory or something my mind is creating, but you're always there, crying, reaching for me. His voice dropped lower, almost hesitant, and I feel like I loved you. My heart stuttered. I searched his face, looking for some glimmer of recognition, some crack in the barrier between us. You did love me, Henry. His gaze softened, conflicted. Then why does it feel like something is pulling me away from you? Tears burned behind my eyes. Because someone stole you from me. For a long moment we just stood there, the wind whipping around us, the waves crashing against the shore in a restless rhythm. And then something changed. Henry reached out slowly, hesitantly, and brushed a strand of hair from my face. My breath hitched. It was such a small gesture, but it sent a shiver through me. And then he spoke, so quietly I almost didn't hear him. I think I'm falling for you. I sucked in a sharp breath. This was different. This wasn't my Henry confessing his love. This was this Henry, the man standing before me now. The one with fractured memories and lingering doubts. He didn't remember our past. But he was falling for me anyway. Tears welled in my eyes. You already did, I whispered. Something unreadable flickered across his face. He looked like he wanted to say something, to remember something, but instead he just let his hand drop. I need time, he murmured. I nodded, even though it hurt. I know. And then he turned away, leaving me with a heart that ached for a love we had lost, and one that was slowly, painfully trying to find its way back. That night, I couldn't sleep. Henry's words kept playing in my head over and over. I think I'm falling for you. I wanted to believe this was our second chance, that even though he didn't remember our past, his heart still recognized me. But a terrible thought lingered at the back of my mind. If Henry was falling for me again, who had taken him away from me in the first place? I turned over in bed, staring at the ceiling. Rain pattered against the window, and the wind howled through the trees. And then, a sound, a rustling noise outside my bedroom window. I bolted upright, my heart pounding. I held my breath, straining to hear. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. Someone was out there. My pulse raced. I slid out of bed and tiptoed toward the window, pushing the curtain aside just enough to peek through the glass. A figure stood near the edge of the woods, just beyond the reach of the porch light, watching, waiting. The moment my eyes locked on the figure, they turned and disappeared into the darkness. A chill ran down my spine. Someone new. And whoever it was, they weren't ready to let Henry remember. Chapter 7, A Love That Refuses to Sink. The next morning, I found Henry staring at the sea again, his body rigid with tension. The past few days had been a storm of unraveling memories, stolen moments, and secrets lurking in the shadows. I still hadn't told him about the figure outside my window last night. I didn't want to scare him. More than that, I didn't want to admit to myself how real the danger had become. Henry turned as I approached. His expression was unreadable, his dark eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach tighten. "I had another dream," he said. I swallowed hard. "What was it about?" His jaw clenched. "Water, darkness, and a voice, someone saying my name." His brows furrowed as he searched my face. "Alice, I think I was fighting with someone before I went overboard." My blood turned to ice. This was it. He was getting closer to the truth. I forced myself to stay calm. "Do you remember who it was?" Henry shook his head, frustration flickering in his eyes. "No, but I feel it. The betrayal, the anger. Someone wanted me gone." His voice dropped lower. "And I think they're still watching." A chill ran down my spine. I opened my mouth to tell him about last night, about the shadowy figure outside my window. But before I could, the sound of an approaching car rumbled in the distance. Henry stiffened beside me. We turned toward the driveway just as a sleek black car came to a slow stop. My heart pounded as the door opened, and a man stepped out. I gasped. It was Daniel Lockwood, Henry's former business partner, the man who had been closest to him before his disappearance, and the same man who had declared Henry dead without hesitation. Daniel Lockwood had always been smooth, charming, too perfect. His dark suit was crisp, his hair perfectly styled, but there was something calculating in his eyes as he looked at Henry, a flicker of disbelief, of something else. Then, as if switching masks, his expression shifted into one of practiced concern. "My God," he said, his voice thick with feigned emotion. "It really is you." Henry didn't move, didn't speak. I could feel the tension radiating from him, the slow unraveling of something deep inside. Daniel stepped forward, his gaze darting to me for the briefest second before returning to Henry. "Henry, we thought you were gone." He hesitated, as if searching for the right words. "I can't believe this." Henry's eyes darkened. "Neither can I." A flicker of something passed through Daniel's face. I had spent years grieving Henry, crying over him. But Daniel, he had declared Henry dead too quickly. He had taken over the company within months. And now, here he was, acting as though this was some miracle? Henry tilted his head, studying him. "Why are you here, Daniel?" Daniel hesitated. "I." His fingers curled at his sides, a telltale sign of someone trying to suppress nerves. "I came because I heard rumors. People said a man who looked exactly like you had been seen in town." Daniel forced out a laugh. "I thought it was just gossip, but I had to see for myself." I didn't believe him, and judging by the tension in Henry's jaw, neither did he. Henry crossed his arms. "You moved on pretty quickly after I was gone." Daniel's smile faltered. "We all had to move on, Henry. It was a tragedy. But what else could we do?" Henry was silent for a long moment. Then he asked the question that made my stomach drop. "Did you want me gone, Daniel?" The air turned razor sharp. Daniel blinked. "What? You were my closest friend, my business partner, and now," Henry tilted his head, "now you're the one who owns everything I built." For a split second, I saw it, a flicker of something dark in Daniel's eyes. Then, just as quickly, he masked it with a pained expression. "Henry, you can't seriously think." "Were you on that boat?" Henry cut him off. Daniel's mouth opened, then closed. A beat of silence. He took a slow breath. "No, Henry, I wasn't." A lie. I knew he knew it. But neither of us said a word, because if Daniel had been on that boat, if he had fought with Henry, then that meant one thing. Daniel had tried to kill him, and if he was here now, it wasn't to welcome Henry back. It was to make sure he never came back at all. Daniel left before sunset. Neither Henry nor I spoke much after he was gone, but the air between us felt different. He had seen it, felt it. Someone had betrayed him. And now he was remembering just enough to realize that the people he once trusted might have been the ones who wanted him dead. That night, as I stood outside on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, Henry joined me. "I was right," he said softly. I turned to him. "About what?" His eyes, filled with quiet devastation, met mine. "Someone stole my life from me." Tears burned in my eyes. "Yes." He let out a slow breath, then hesitated before whispering, "And maybe the reason I keep being pulled toward you is because you're the only part of my life they couldn't take away." My heart clenched. This wasn't just about Henry regaining his past. This was about us, about the love that had refused to die, no matter how much time had passed, no matter how much had been stolen from us. I turned fully to face him, my fingers trembling as I reached up and cupped his face. His breath hitched. "You came back to me," I whispered. A flicker of emotion crossed his face, a war between hesitation and something deeper. And then, slowly, cautiously, he leaned in. The world disappeared. It was just us, just the love that had never drowned. His lips brushed against mine, soft, uncertain, but full of longing. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt it. Hope. Chapter 8. The Choice Between Yesterday and Tomorrow. The morning after Henry kissed me, I woke up to an emptiness beside me. He was gone. My chest tightened as panic surged through me. Not again. I rushed downstairs, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. Then I saw him, standing at the edge of the porch, staring out at the sea. The sunrise cast a golden glow on his face, but his expression was distant, haunted. He was remembering something. I swallowed hard and stepped toward him. Henry? He didn't turn right away. But when he did, I knew. Something had clicked into place. "I know what happened that night," he said. "The wind howled between us." I held my breath. Henry took a slow, steadying breath. That night on the boat, Daniel was there, his fists clenched. But he wasn't the only one. A chill ran down my spine. "Who else?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He exhaled shakily. "My brother." My heart stopped. Luke, Henry's estranged younger brother, the one who had always been in the shadows, overlooked, underappreciated, the one Henry had once tried to protect but had ultimately pushed away. "He was in trouble," Henry continued, his voice thick with regret. "Gambling, debt. He came to me that night, asking for money. A lot of it, but I refused." His eyes darkened. I told him I wouldn't bail him out again. My hands trembled. "And Daniel?" Henry's lips pressed into a thin line. "Daniel knew about Luke's debt. He offered him a way out." Realization slammed into me. "Your company." Henry gave a grim nod. "If I disappeared, Daniel would take over. And in return, Luke's debts would vanish." He let out a bitter laugh. It was a win-win for them. Daniel would get control of everything I built, and Luke would be free of the people coming after him. My stomach churned. His own brother had been a part of this. I reached for Henry's hand, but he pulled away, his eyes distant. "They fought me on the boat. I tried to fight back, but it was 2 against 1. He let out a shaky breath. I remember Luke shoving me. I slipped, hit my head against the railing. I swallowed hard. And then, his gaze met mine, full of pain. "They left me to drown." Tears pricked my eyes. I couldn't imagine the betrayal he must have felt. His own brother, his best friend. They had chosen power and self-preservation over his life. "But I didn't drown," Henry continued, his voice raw. "Somehow I survived. The current carried me to another shore. A fishing boat found me. But by then, I had lost everything. My memories, my identity." He let out a slow breath. "Until I found my way back here." I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to process it all. Daniel had declared Henry dead so easily because he had wanted it to be true. Luke had never even looked for his brother because he had known exactly what had happened. And all this time, Henry had been living in the dark, haunted by ghosts of a life he had been robbed of. Henry turned to me, his expression unreadable. "I don't know what to do, Alice." "I don't know what to do, Alice." I stared at him. "What do you mean?" His jaw tightened. "Daniel and Luke, they took everything from me. I could expose them. I should expose them." His fists clenched. "But if I do, Luke's life is over." My chest ached. Luke had made his choice. And yet, I knew Henry. He had spent his whole life protecting his brother, even when it hurt him, even when it cost him. I took a slow breath. "What do you want, Henry?" His eyes searched mine. For a long time, he didn't answer. Then finally, he whispered, "I want peace." I reached for his hand, this time refusing to let him pull away. "Then let's take it," I said softly. Henry exhaled as if finally letting go of a weight that had been crushing him. 1 month later, we left. We walked away from the ghosts of the past, the betrayal, the pain, the weight of vengeance. Henry didn't seek revenge. He didn't destroy Luke or Daniel, but he did take back his life. With quiet strength, he reclaimed his name, his identity, his company. Daniel, exposed for his corruption, was forced to step down. Luke disappeared, maybe out of shame, maybe out of guilt. Henry didn't look for him. For the first time in his life, he chose himself. He chose us. One evening, we stood by the shore, watching the waves crash against the rocks. Henry turned to me, his expression softer than I had ever seen. I spent years drifting, Alice, lost, searching for something I didn't even remember. He reached for my hand, but I think I was always trying to find my way back to you. Tears burned my eyes. I'm not the same man I was before, he admitted. I squeezed his hand. I know. And yet, he gave me a small, almost hesitant smile. Somehow, I still love you the same way. My breath caught. Then, without hesitation, I whispered the words I had been holding on to for years. I never stopped loving you. The wind howled around us, the waves crashing against the shore. But for the first time, we weren't drowning in the past. We were moving forward. Together. The end. Alice and Henry's journey was filled with heartbreak, betrayal, and second chances. But in the end, love refused to sink. What did you think of their story? Let me know in the comments. And if you love emotional, suspenseful romance stories with shocking twists, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next one. More stories are coming soon. Stay tuned.